Welcome, everybody. My name is Sebastian Faber. I'm a professor at Oberlin College, and I'm a member of the ALBA Board of Governors. Welcome to this, I don't know what number we are at in our ongoing film discussion series. Um, in a way, today is a meta moment in our film series because the documentary that we've seen by Oriol Porta with Lisa Berger as co-producer is really a film, a documentary about the types of films that we've been seeing in this whole series. And if you are a faithful attendant to these events, you'll have seen a bunch of the films that we've discussed in the past year and a half or so come by in that film. So this is kind of a special mid-moment in this series to reflect on what it really meant for Hollywood in particular, or the United States more generally, or the world, to make films about the Spanish War and how that evolved over time, starting during the war itself in between 36 and 39, all the way up to just a couple of years ago. So I'm really, really pleased to welcome Oriol Porta from Catalunya right here with us, and also really pleased to have Lisa Berger, who we had here when we talked about Land and Freedom, back as a special guest co-panelist-ish for as long as she's wanted to be on the stage to talk about this film. If you've seen the interview that I did with Oriol by way of introduction to the documentary, you'll know that Lisa played a key role as a documentarian for this film, gathering materials, setting up interviews, and identifying people to speak with. So it's really great to have you all here. As usual, a couple of housekeeping things. This is a webinar so that you guys cannot really see each other. That is, we do that for mostly for safety purposes. You can, however, speak with each other through the chat, which you are doing already, and you can post questions that you might have for Oriol in the Q&A window. So if you do end up posting questions in the chat, we'll probably see them one way or another, but it's slightly easier if you can use the Q&A button for your questions that you want us to address here. This time around, I don't think we'll do a breakout rooms. We'll skip that for a moment because, in a way, this documentary is not quite as interesting to do small group discussions about. So we'll probably keep it central. We'll try to finish up, as usual, about a quarter past the hour. And finally, as you know, this is a free event organized by the Abraham Lincoln Brigade Archives. Should you feel compelled to support our work, I know that most of you already do, there's always an opportunity to donate at any time during, before, or after these events. And we really, really appreciate your support, which, as you know, is tax deductible since we are 501c3. All right, I think that's all the housekeeping. So let me welcome Oriol and Lisa. Thank you for being here. It's a weird moment that we're in. I feel it's a weird moment. The news is coming at us so fast, it's hard to keep track. When Oriol, when you and I spoke a couple of weeks ago in preparation for this, you mentioned that when you first came up with the idea for this documentary, you thought it was interesting to make a film about the way that the United States saw Spain, and you found it empowering in a way as somebody from Catalonia to look back at the U.S. and its particular way of looking at the world, of which Spain, of course, is a part. I think now we are at a moment in history where the world is looking at the U.S. with worry, with preoccupation. Who knows? Maybe with some Schadenfreude. Who knows? But in any case, with plenty of interest and care, I guess, and the messages I'm getting from my friends all over the world, especially from Europe, is like, are you okay? What's going on? So maybe let me start with asking you, how are people in Catalonia and in Spain looking at what's happening in the U.S.? What are people feeling about it? And I know that you are yet again organizing a human rights film festival in Barcelona these days. How do current events in the U.S. resonate in that space? So anything you want to say about that? And also, so we agreed to try to do this in English, but if I told Oriol that if he wants to say something in Spanish, that's also fine, and I'll translate, and vice versa. If questions by people from people in English don't come across fully, I'll translate them a little bit. So in advance, please. My apologies for the multilingual nature of this event, but everybody should be okay. Oriol, adelante.
Okay, welcome. Thank you very much for inviting me, Sebastian. Welcome to everybody. I'm very, very, very glad and pleased to be here. Speaking of a film of how much? Almost 17 years ago. It was a long time that I haven't re-seen it until now. This gave me the opportunity to see it. It was not a very pleasant experience also. Time passes, and maybe one thinks that uh, one could have made it different. Well, apologize for my English. I'm able to read and to write. I made this film in English, basically in English. I came to the States to interview all the people who were there. So I'm able to communicate somehow, but sometimes I'm blocked. So, and if this happens, I count on Sebastian to help me to translate from Spanish. But I'll try. I'll try to speak in English. Well, as I said, it was long ago that I haven't seen this film, and I look at before the previous interview, the conversation that I had with Sebastian. Uh, and I was a part of many things. Maybe the important thing is that I was a kind of surprised to feel that it was not an old film, that we were not talking about an old matter. It's also it's obvious that we talk about history, but I think there are several things that can make us think, make probably you, I will be glad to hear your opinion, that things that are quite actual, no? Quite actual. Uh, Especially the last reflection about the continuity of conflicts in the world, how all wars looks when you see it in a frame in a screen on a screen looks the same. There's that montage between people keeping taking out corpses from the Spanish in Madrid, but then also in Palestina, or this, or now we can say it other places. So unfortunately, history repeats. Always, history repeats. So this gives an obvious vision of the present, also not only on the past, but also there are specific things, and will not go in speaking too much. There's also something that's when I made it, I was surprised when I discovered it also, and that it's that moment talking about the Nazism in the United States during in the 40s, in this big meeting in the Metropolitan, I said, and the voice says they wear Nazis uniforms, but they wrap themselves with the American flag, no? Unfortunately, I think this is very, very, very actual. No, I think I'm very sorry to say, but you have a president now that it's it's exactly like this, no? People is afraid of using some kinds of terms on this, but I think this is he's purely anarchist, classist, a Nazi, no? And so, well, it's something that well, it's in the papers. Everybody thinks, no, that maybe we're coming back to the German in the 30s, no? So people now looks at Hitler as a demon, but maybe now is not conscious enough that Trump is also as demon and as Hitler as Hitler was, no. So in that sense, how do we feel what is happening in your homeland currently with surprise? The first moment with surprise, uh, with fear, with fear, not so much in him, but also as a kind of, ¿cómo se dice, Lisa? Desconfianza, or this, mistrust, of mistrust in our own governance. How is it possible that a president of a republic, of a European republic, of a country, can accept the barbarities, the silly things, the stupid things, and the unacceptable things that Mr. Trump is saying? How are they so afraid, so cautious, so for me, this is the most scariest thing. I think these things become to change a little, uh, maybe after the example of the Canadian Prime Minister, no, that has been the first one who has been said, "Hey, okay, let's talk about this." But no, the position, the stand of the president of the European Union, it's a shame. It's completely a shame. No? So I think. The people here share this feeling. As you were saying yesterday, we've made a cineforum, a Q&A question, talking about human rights, and the subject was United States against human rights and international right, no? And we had plenty. It's the more the session we had more, but we had 150 people. So I think everybody is worried. Everybody is worried.
Yeah. Lisa, I mean, you are American that have been living in Catalonia for a long time. How is it, if I may ask, if you feel like talking about this, how is it to see what's happening in the U.S. from abroad as somebody who can vote in the U.S.?
Well, actually, it's impossible to just sit back and get upset and worry because you have to do something. And I'm inspired by the Lincoln Brigade and the being called premature anti-fascist. I mean, it's all coming back. Having to stand up before it's too late. I mean, I'm very involved with Democrats Abroad here in Barcelona, and we are helping people to vote and also protest from here. We've had protests like not every month, but in Spain we've had since not my President's Day last February. So we've been holding protests, and people come up to us in Plaza San Jaume, which is like the location where most protests are against the government, and people coming up and saying, "Oh, I'm so glad to see Americans who are against what the government is doing," and it's so reassuring. to see that, people who are just visiting or people who live there, and we got new members coming in, and people really feel the need to do something and feel a part of a community and to push back. And so it's very upsetting to see, you know, I mean, certainly when I became a Spanish citizen, one thing that I have double nationality, and so one thing said, well, now when you're in Spain, you are a Spanish citizen, and when you go to the States, you're an American citizen. So the only time that would be a problem is if two countries go to war, and it's like, oh, well, that's not happening. That's not a problem. It just seems so far from anything I could imagine. But it's really not that surprising. I mean, knowing the history of the United States and the way it's treated the rest of the world, it's just that it's coming home um to the American citizens. And it used to be that, the government treated the citizens a little bit better than other people in other countries, and now it's just it seems like the decline of the empire, really. So I just feel like if I don't do something active, then I'll just be too upset.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So the documentary is about people doing something in a way through the film industry, people in Hollywood, actors, directors, script writers, Alva Bessie being one of them. Um, at the same time that when you and I spoke, Uriel, you were skeptical about the power of film and filmmaking. And as you recounted your and Lisa's experience trying to make the documentary, you also made very clear how many limitations and obstacles and structures you have to work within that also, in a way, limit how much you can do through, let's say, a documentary. I'm curious if either of you has any thoughts about, in our current situation, what can film do and filmmakers do? What can Hollywood do? Is there any role for the filmmaking, the film industry in the current moment, and or what can documentary filmmakers who are not in Hollywood do? Is this a moment again for film to step up, or are we beyond that, and does it require other forms of action? ¿Me pillaste la pregunta, Uriel?
No, sí, que el cine que sí puede hacer.
Sí, entonces, ¿cuál es el papel de Hollywood ahora, si hay? ¿No? Porque tu documental es sobre el papel que adoptó Hollywood frente a la guerra de España, y cuáles son un poco, quizá hay demasiadas limitaciones para el cine documental o de Hollywood a estas alturas, y el de hacer algo que dice Lisa, que es otra cosa, que no es hacer cine, digamos.
Well, I have to confess that I don't follow Hollywood, the Hollywood industry and all this. I'm not interested. Uh, I'm, Anytime I'm less interested in uh, in the construction, even from the point of view of narrative and construction and linguistic styling and the linguistic way of framing the stories and the contents, no? Done in Hollywood and done by television and done, but there's so huge medias that are worried in other things, no, in not letting the audience think while seeing something, no. So I'm quite disappointed. I even maybe I was a little no, somehow I would say it hypocrite when in the moment to do it, but not. I was critical. I wanted to criticize. I wanted to criticize this aspect. The moment when I was thinking on the project, uh, maybe with the kind of prejudice, but also I accept it and limitation of knowledge, exactly the details of things, but simplifying. I was saying I was seeing Hollywood as the public agency of the White House. No? So the way to spread things. So I wanted to warn about this and not thinking not making people think that images are not innocent. No, and it's not just art or entertainment. For Hollywood films, it's entertainment. And entertainment maybe is the word of the dictionary that I hate most. Right? I'm not going to see a film to entertain myself. I'm going to. So, in that sense, mm, I'm not very friend of production, and I think it's very tough and very difficult and it's even impossible to fight against. I'm not romantic enough to say no. Yes, the art can't develop, can win, can make change in. The film that we screened yesterday to talk about this was an Errol Morris film, Separated, that been done. Just it was foreseen to be screened at the NBC just before your last elections. But at last, NBC said no because this maybe it's too political to put it before a campaign. No, I was so at last. No, 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 no. Somebody as Errol Morris, who makes a strong film criticizing this. mm, uh, then the industry and the systems desactiva, ¿cómo se dice? Desactiva la bomba.
Disactivates, like diffuses the bomb,
So,
diffuses, right?
and the artist can do anything, and the audience can do anything, can get this information that maybe can make him change
Right.
its. Huh?
So
But
what I hear
I
you say
don't
is,
trust that people change his votes, their votes, after seeing a film. Maybe
right.
someone, but not.
So I hear you two lessons. Don't let Hollywood think for you, and don't put too much hope on film in general. Lisa, are you as skeptical as Orioles?
No, otherwise I
No?
wouldn't work on film. I think it's I only like to work on things that feel like have a social use to them. I mean, I don't always get to, but this was one of the projects, and I think I'd like to contradict you, Oriol. That I mean, there are some films that have really impacted, made social change, and one of them is like Philadelphia, about talking about AIDS, and I remember reading an interview with the I can't think of her name, the actress who played a mother, and she said that it really changed the attitude about mm, well, accepting being gay people. I mean, when I don't remember when it was, it came in the 90s, right? As it came out. So, I mean, there are, it's not so easy, but another thing we do in Democrats Abroad is have documentary film screenings in the member's home. And so the idea is to show films that empower you to think change is possible. And so to show examples of ordinary people organizing to change the situation of their lives. And one of the films that we showed was The Janes, about fighting against, to get abortion legalized in Chicago, and how women learned how to perform abortions when it wasn't legal. And also The Beauty and the Bloodshed, which is about the fight against the big pharma, and led by Nan Golden. Well, the film was focusing on her and how she got, showing her own sacrifice. She got the Sackler family to have their name removed as a sponsor of the Met and the National Portrait Gallery in the UK. So it really had an impact, and that was shown. You wouldn't have known about that probably if you didn't see the film.
A couple of people, we'll get back to the documentary in a second, but a couple of people noted in the chat that a lot of the resistance in the US today is done through film. People are videotaping abuses, and those have
Mm.
had such a major role in both establishing the truth and countering the lies coming from the regime and spreading the awareness, right, and the indignation of people. So in that sense, I mean, film as a medium is still quite powerful, even if it's kind of unproduced.
I agree. So I maybe a statement very radical, but actually we do. I do these films not worried. No. I made this film not because I wanted to make a film on this. I wanted to tell things and this. But I desconfiar.
Mistrust.
I mistrust in a huge power about this, and and this can come, I think, outside of the mainstream system production systems, basically on documentaries. That's why we made the documentaries. But what's fiction, mainstream? mm, there are obviously there's people who tries and there's people who hits, but it's always has to read behind the curtains.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Lisa,
I
did you
saw
want to add
somebody
something?
in the chat. Yes, it's good to see the chat actually about the how a film Catalunya Martyr affected them, and in Land and Freedom, which we talked about a while back. The film opens with the main character seeing a film of what's happening in Spain, and he decides to go and fight. So that's, I mean, it was fiction, a fiction movie, but it was based on, what really
Yeah.
happened to Ken Loach's piano teacher of his daughter. That's what he told it, how he got involved with going to Spain. And even Land and Freedom, sorry to give another plug to another movie, but it was a fiction film, and what it did was inspire people who worked on the film to learn about their own history. I mean, literally, the actors had no idea what went on in the Spanish Civil War. At first, they didn't know anything about it until we had to do research for being in the film. And I'm sorry to say that it's not gotten better in Spain. I don't know, young people now are, some people are saying, oh, who needs democracy? That, dictatorship might not be so bad. And if they're gonna, the same kind of argument that Trump is giving about, oh, well, we need to get rid of immigrants. It's so distressful. We've been trying to educate about what happened in Spain, through film all these years, and young people don't see those films. We
Yeah.
made them, but they don't see them.
So going back to your documentary for a second, since you talked about like discovering things by being involved in this, did you, Uriel, or you, Lisa, discover things that you did not know um, while making the documentary that were surprising to you?
Uh, I used to make documentaries to learn myself, to understand, to understand things myself. Uh, this was a subject that many times, any time that I was showing and made sessions like this in Spain, people said, "Oh, but oh, what a strange subject! Didn't know." I said, "What? There are film historians that has had written about this. It's not myself who has discovered all this. This exists, no." So I don't know. I think that this is an. I don't remember. I cannot say anything in concrete. Producing a documentary like this is always a learning process.
Yeah.
Uh, From the moment that you read an article, then you go to a book, then you meet somebody, then you prepare an interview, then all this. Uh,
Well, I'd like
I
to
would
say one
say that.
thing.
Say,
I,
say.
Lisa,
yeah,
please go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, what I mean, I watched the intro in interview that you did, and one thing I remember about making the film, which is again it was a long time ago, was the interview with Alba Bessie. He had already died, of course, when we made the film, and so the only recorded interview that existed was in a film lab in Los Angeles, and it had never been released. So that's we found it by talking with, I think it was Pat McGilligan. Maybe my memory wasn't it Pat McGilligan? He said he was planning to make a film called Tender Comrades,
Right.
and like a lot of film projects, you have start out with a great project and you put a lot of work, and it just doesn't get the funding, and so it didn't happen. And so that there was a 16 millimeter film sitting in a lab, and we got it out there and had it transferred, and that's in our film. And that to me was like, that's the archive producer's dream,
Yeah.
showing something that it was filmed to be to be seen and not to be sitting in a lab somewhere. But it's a good thing it was being conserved. And so he's like what's the word, represents the whole idea of the film of somebody who was in the Hollywood 10. I mean, he was faced repression because he went to Spain and fought for the good fight in the Spanish
Yeah.
Civil War, and he worked as a scriptwriter. So he's like the only one.
Right. Oriol.
I can take, yes, because I don't remember. Made me a question. I don't know what I've learned. I have to confess also that, well, I'm not somebody who with a strong knowledge of many things. No? I knew about the Spanish Civil War somehow. In Spain, you know that it's not very well explained in teached in the school. I even went to school during Franco's period. So the story that one can have, or I could have this, I should make it by myself. I'm not a strong reader and a strong researcher. Even I went to the university and I have a history degree, but I'm not very so. So maybe one of the most, and I think it's here's the place to confess this maybe the most strong knowledge that I earned during the film was about the brigadists. I knew hardly nothing about the brigadists. Also here in Spain, Spanish television speaks very few. Sometimes when there was a meeting, when you came, people from the ALBA came there for a meeting for something in Spain. There was something a short in the news on this, but I didn't knew exactly what the brigadists were. No? And at last, maybe this is new. When I knew that Alba was a brigadist, but I didn't knew what was behind all this. No, so this was maybe in the historical point of view, the deepest, the widest, the more important knowledge that had enriched me, really enriched me. No? And actually, now that I see it again, I say, maybe it's more a film about the brigadists rather than a film about film. No?
Yeah, but you're right that the documentary. I mean, you have. Yeah.
Also because Alva is the first thing that he says that this one has been the most important experience in his life, and it's the last thing that he says also. And actually, at the end, that it was not at while I was editing. I knew that Alva had his preeminence, his importance, but it took me sometimes to learn that narratively I needed him to be the main character. No? and for that. And there was also already built at the first editing, there was maybe 1 hour and a half of the brigadist story. That at last is also, I don't know, I think it's more than half an hour talking about the brigadists. No? So this is something that arise, no, that arose, no, that arose in this, and has been very important also for myself. I had the lucky, thanks to Lisa, she's the one who find him to meet to know Dan Bessie, Alva's son, with whom we became friends, but as close as we could be, leaving him here. Well, but then in France, he's been here in this house, so we become friends, and this opened for me. Well, this has enriched me very much, even more than the things about films and history and politics and all this, that this I already knew it more or less, but the experience of the brigadiers has been a very transcendental knowledge for me.
In that sense, so somebody asked about the reception of the documentary in Spain, and somebody else asked about the title in English and in Spanish, so A War in Hollywood or Hollywood Contra Franco. Can you say something about who decided on the titles? And because you're saying it's really a movie about the brigadistas more than anything else, how did the titles come about? And can you say a bit more about the reception in terms of people discovering stories they feel they should have known but they didn't, like you did with the story of the brigadistas? How that played out? At least I'm not sure if you have anything to add about that.
In all the sessions that participated, Q&A sessions on this, there was always people, first of all, thanking that this film was made, and then many people discovering many things, especially young people. Also, that most of the films and the faces that so there they didn't know it at all. But well, the deep story, the background story, it was clear and it was not so. No, in general, it was the reception was always very positive. Also, people, I don't know, it was shocking. The first thing in the first screening, after the screening, the first thing that somebody told me was thank you. It was shocking. Thank you for what? No? And then other people, also communist people, this was somebody explain it. They say, well, because you have, I don't know. Give us some relief. It's a story that we have kept, that it's very difficult. There are not so many occasions to talk about in this country where it is still fascist or is still like this, who doesn't want to talk about the past, about all those things. So then it was a kind of reflex, no? They have been seen themselves reflected, and then there's particular. One day after the screening came somebody with about the 40s with his mother and saying thank you. And no, the thing they told me is my father was at the Ebro front. So it's what I was saying, no? This found himself for the first time somebody talking about he could not talk for years. No?
Yeah.
So in that sense, positive. The reception industrially, we won a couple of awards here, but I think I told the other day, Televisión Española, the national broadcaster, paid a lot of money for this, and it's never showing.
That's insane. Yeah. Lisa,
Well,
do you have anything to say about the title of the film, or whatever, or the reception for that matter?
oh, well, I was going to say something about the financing. I remember we
Oh,
did a lot. I was associate producer. I wasn't the co-producer, but associate producer means somebody who we did a lot of pitches going to markets, documentary markets, and trying to get people to finance it, and in particular, public television in the United States. And they were like, "Oh, you're going to tell us our history? No, no, no. Nobody does that. Only Americans can tell our history, even if it's our history, but happened on your, in Spain." It's got to be Americans telling that story. Well, I said, I'm American, but I happen to live in Barcelona, so no, that's not good enough. So, I mean, I really thought we had a chance to get some money from the United States. It should be a story of interest to Americans. And I just wanted to use the opportunity to say, this is the one thing about the brigadistas is that you think, oh, what would I do if this were happening when I was alive? And now we have the chance to really see that, and people are really putting their lives, sacrificing their lives to defend democracy, right? In their cities. I mean, in Minneapolis and everywhere. I mean, all over people. We talked about this yesterday. It's not, it doesn't get in the news, but there are heroes every day who are, taking people's children to school so that they can be safe because their parents are afraid to go out. And, those just every little thing, every act of kindness that you can do. And so, that's why. I found it was important to work on it, and I, devoted so many hours, so many years. But it was unfortunate that, the even Arte didn't get involved. I mean, Arte is the public broadcaster of Europe of, coming from Germany and France, which have more money than other countries in Europe, and I don't know what their problem was, but they kept on saying, well, maybe when it's almost finished, when it's 90% finished, financed, then I'll put in a little drip, and that's, um,
so it's interesting that in the conversation I had with Oriol, he mentioned unexpected resistances, right? So the chaplain
mhm.
family was like, no, 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 thank you. And even the reactions of the people you described, like finally we can see this. There's clearly such a taboo surrounding the Spanish Civil War still, and to me that connects with the fears that we see currently, right? Like institutions, like universities, that are afraid to come across as oppositional or to stand up. Um, can you say a bit more, Uriel, about so Chaplin has family in Spain, and yet maybe because the Spanish connection, that's where the taboo came from. Like, how do you explain the Chaplin family being so resistant, or at least how, if you remember dealing with them? I'm not sure who dealt with them necessarily.
I think for the same thing that the similar reasons of the what I was saying about Hollywood, because it's industry. At the end, in this world, everything is industry. It's everything is so culture. It's not culture. It's industry. Everything is industry. So now we have to Chaplin. Everybody has to protect the an image that they have, the hairs of the dead men, artists, and this, and say no, we will earn more money if we don't mix Papa or Grandpapa with politics. No, shit, excuse me, is it something like that? It was absurd. I think we talk about this in the conversation
Yeah.
the other day. It's absurd that a nephew or no or a daughter of Chaplin tells you that his father. Please don't talk about politics from politics about my father. But listen, you didn't knew him. Where you were being born, where he has died. He had to leave the United States? So what are you talking to us about? I have to explain you what was your father was thinking. No, the state, the Chaplin state, considers that you don't have to talk about the Chaplin as a political man.
Yeah.
I understand. I don't know if it was what you were asking and if
Yeah, no,
I
I was. Yeah, 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 yeah.
answered. Yes. And
Um,
maybe you were talking also about that there was a Spanish connection, obviously. At a
right.
certain moment, when I heard it, because the one who signed the letter that saying no, we don't give you permission, we don't allow you to use footage from our father, was not Geraldine. So
It
people
wasn't
know
okay.
Geraldine has been married with Antonio, with Carlos Saura, the, the
Filmmaker.
Spanish director, and they had I don't know how many sons. I knew one of the sons who's a producer of this. I met him sometimes, no. But at a certain moment, I said, okay, maybe try, no. But I don't know. I didn't dare, and I said,
Yeah. Lisa and we all both, as you made the documentary, did you discover films you didn't know and maybe a new appreciation for films that you might like For Whom the Bell Tolls, right? For Whom the Bell Tolls is such a weird film in so many ways, and I don't know, I've never really liked it very much, but maybe you guys now do, and maybe you discovered a new kind of, I don't know, a new way of looking at some films that we've tended to discard. Um, no?
Well, I don't know. One if, to answer that question, I was thinking more of the way we were.
Yeah, right.
That was the end. It ended with the our film ended with the way we were as the most recent example of talking about the Spanish Civil War, and to me that I had seen that I guess when it came out, and it didn't. That wasn't the part that stood out the most to me. But the more I learned about why they made the film, it just I don't know, seemed important to keep on talking about values. That's unusual to find in
Right.
a film, even in a Hollywood film. I mean, to talk about what's worth fighting for, and then the
Yeah.
relationship was had struggled over the values, no, the moral values, like what do you do, and what's your ethical position, and
Yeah. So in that sense, actually, Oriol, the anecdote you told when I interviewed you about Gregory Peck, Gregory Peck is in the film Gregory Peck.
okay.
Okay, well, he's in the film we screened last, or we talked about last month
Yeah,
with Linda Ehrlich, the
behold the pale horse. Yeah,
Behold the Pale Horse, and you said that he faxed you back like I'm too old to do anything, but I'm a strong anti-fascist, right?
anti-Francoist, anti-Francoist.
Anti-Francoist.
Yeah.
Uh, Barbara Streisand, Robert Redford, right? In the way we were, like Woody Allen in
The front.
The Front. There is your documentary seems to suggest that either the people involved with making movies about the Spanish Civil War did that for a value-based reason. John Garfield in Fallen Sparrow, right? The director Dieterle, I think, also there. Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca, right? Is that kind of across the board true that most of the people involved in managing to get part of the story in a Hollywood film did so because they had strong convictions related to it?
Well, this is something that a good question. At the beginning, also, well, this was a very complex project for somebody who was new in the industry, let's say, in production and this, no, and also developing a project which is a project so huge. So at the beginning, well, it took me some time. I don't remember exactly who was who. One day you said, because I was thinking of about all artists, no? And I also was conscious that well, the the most attractive part of the show business are the actors, the one who make people now goes to see a film of Brad Pitt, but not of Thomas Anderson. No, more the. So for this, I was making a mix until the moment that I realized, I don't know if in a conversation with I don't know, that actually all this compromise were not led by the actors. The actors read their line that somebody has written. No, so the ones that were important are the script writers. Are the script writers. So it's very powerful to see Henry Fonda making that speech at the end of Blockade. That, by the way, I thought 100 times, but I never go there and put it in Facebook. It's somebody that could somebody could say the same speech now talking about Gaza.
Right.
No, it's exactly the same. Where's the conscience of the world?
Mm-hmm.
No? Where's the conscience of the world? Where people, children killed, hospitals bombed, schools, and all this is exactly the same. You change Spain for Gaza is what I was saying at the beginning. The story repeats. No? So, but it was not Henry Fonda the one who he only sings, but he has not composed the lines. No. So these were scriptwriters, directors, and producers. Maybe are the ones.
Right. Wasn't Gregory Peck also a
Then,
producer?
excuse me, just to finish. Obviously, there are actors that are also engaged, no, and that's why we had Susan Sarandon. No? Say, Lisa.
No, about Gregory Peck, that he was a producer also, wasn't he? Not just the actor. And he wrote us a fax saying he couldn't be in the film, but we did have a fax, which I don't know. Can't save a fax. Disappears.
Yeah, that's beautiful though. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to quickly see. I've been picking and choosing from the questions without giving credit to the question askers. I'm sorry about that, but thank you for the questions. Let's see. One somebody asked is either of you see a fun representation of Alva Bessie in the 2016 Queen of Spain movie, where so there's a movie character named Jordan Berman played by Mandy Patinkin, who I gather is inspired by Alva Bessie. It's new to me. That's really interesting. Queen of Spain. All right.
And Dan never told me. I don't know.
Right. Well, this maybe, yeah, right. Let's see what else. Perhaps say something. Peter Stansky is asking. Say something about the Hollywood figures that wanted to write more about the war. So scriptwriters, producers, right? The people that you referred to just now, Oriol. That ran into the cowardice of the studios. So your point about industry, right? In the industry is always industry. There's people who work with industry who try to push messages. Did you find stories of, or Patrick McGilligan, like somebody of the, were there more stories of, or at least like you said, failed projects, right? Things that didn't come off the ground in the end because somebody pulled the plug or somebody swapped out Spain and put it in a different country, or like in Blockade, removed all reference to any specific country. Is there more about that you can share? ¿Me has entendido, Oriol?
Si hay películas que tenían una intención pro España de algún modo y en cambio
o más historias sobre intentos que fracasaron por la cobardía o la resistencia de las partes más industriales de la industria, de los estudios.
Sobre España, sobre
Sí,
España.
sí.
No, I don't know. The only thing I know that I could Dan Bessie, the son of Alba Bessie, had a script that I have somewhere called "The Last Volunteer," about the last American brigadist who died, and it's silly in at the last moment when he had not to be there already, not the end of the war or something like that. Who, by the way, was the brother of Ring Landner, which
One of the Hollywood 10.
one of the Hollywood 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lardner, wasn't it? Lardner.
Lardner, right, exactly. Lardner, yeah. Ring Lardner Jr., right.
The one who said that he couldn't see himself in the mirror if he wouldn't had that as he done. But he tried to remove this script, but well, Dan was not so strong was not somebody. He has always worked in the industry. He has been a producer himself, but of videos, educational things like that. He was a cartoonist and all this, but he had no the contacts to put a script there. It's the only thing that I could answer to this. The others, I don't know of any other thing. I know now I've just received also a script about fiction about George Orwell, that somebody, an American director, is doing now as a scriptwriter and producer and trying to move this project. I don't know how, but it's just recent. But I don't know. I don't know if there's maybe a film historian would say yes. But I haven't heard about.
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of projects out there. I mean, I think actually coming off of one of these ALBA talks, somebody contacted me about a project they had looking for financing in Spain. And I said, "Oof, that's not very difficult. It's a very worthy project. So there's a lot of wonderful, worthy projects, but you have to be willing to spend the next 10 years of your life. Um, and then
That,
once you're
that,
almost
that,
there, just push over to the end, that's
Dan said that one of the excuses to not be able to accomplish this project was because a film about war or with war is very, very expensive. But
Right.
maybe for American industry, no, and the American and the Spanish War was not so powerful. You can do a film and has been done. Ken Loach has made
Yeah.
Land and
yeah.
Freedom, and
Yes,
So that,
with
yeah,
Franco
not
was the lead.
a huge budget, no?
the scriptwriter or the director you just mentioned, Uriol, who's working on a biopic about Orwell, Chris Angel, who's probably on the call here, has written a piece for The Volunteer that's coming out in a couple of weeks for our magazine, sort of reflecting on the continued resistance in Hollywood to stories about the Spanish War. And one argument one element that he mentions is the cost, right? War movies are expensive, lots of extras, right? Just production wise, it's pricey. But he also recalls some recent attempts to make movies about Spain that never went anywhere. So Michael Mann was supposed to do a film about Robert Capa and Gerda Taro that was rumored to be in production even, or pre-production in any case, and never seems to have materialized. There's what's his name, Simon from the Wire, who has been working for a long time on a Spanish miniseries, Spain produced miniseries, I think by Media Pro, supposedly about the Lincoln Brigade.
Yep,
Right?
I remember that project.
Right. It's called the a Dry Run is the working title, and that too is still to be produced. Right. So I'm sure financing is always problematic, and like you say, Oriol, the industry is always working conservatively because they care about not losing money, right? And rather making money. But it's interesting to see that the taboo seems to be surrounding it still. And one of the points that Chris makes in this piece is also that producer or whatever studios will say it's a very complicated story to explain. People will not understand it.
It's here, Christopher. He's not
Yeah,
writing right now. Huh?
David
Yeah.
Simon, right? Sorry, thank you, Chris. Um, yeah.
Uh,
So,
it's a
oh yeah,
very complex.
right. And Chris's script is based on Peter Stansky's biography, and Peter is here too. Yeah, but there's this sense of it's too complicated, it's too controversial. We have to talk about fascists and anti-fascists. We have to talk about communists and anarchists, maybe too, and that all that is just too much. It's like,
But this is, I don't know, Roman Gubern talking about Spanish Earth in this film says that the director,
Yours Stevens. No?
That Joris Evans, has, or maybe even Hemingway, no, doing the script, have been able they had skill to explain, to put in a character both both ideology. This is so much complicated. An anarchist, the anarchist and the communist. So it depends. It's the work of the scriptwriter.
right.
Let's say, to clarify this.
Yeah.
No? And there are many films that explain complex things. No.
As if it's switching topics entirely, but not so much. So, in a way, your documentary is about the relative success and relative failure of Hollywood to tell that story properly of the story of the war in Spain. Has the Spanish film industry done a better job?
No, at all.
Mm.
Not at all. At all. I think we talked about this in the previous conversation. It's a taboo. So the Spanish Civil War and the Francoism, it's a taboo. Even for a cultural, progressive industry sector like the film industry, like the film sector. Mm, no, no. They always sweep, se dice, patinar, se escabullen. No, no.
They
When in a
skirt.
film,
They
when,
skirt the problem. Right.
when a film is there's a moment that I don't know why for a moment of weakness of the scriptwriter. There's some reference to the 40 years of the Franquism. It disappears at the following page. It
Well, I
disappears.
worked on
No, no.
series
Huh?
on series, but they put them on TV at 11 o'clock at night, on a weeknight, and then they have I did a six-part series or several of them, and they put them on at night. Who's going to watch that? It's
But can you share a couple that are worth watching, Lisa, that you worked on for people to look out for?
okay. Well, the ones that you could still watch on public television on RTVE Play is let's see, España Siglo XX en Color. And that starts with the Republic. So that was the best episode, talking about
And
what
that's
the
based
Republic.
on color footage mostly,
España
because it's
Siglo.
called En
Colorized.
Color.
It's
No, it's black
colorized.
and white. That was colorized.
Oh,
So
colors. Okay, okay.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. And so when it was each episode was on a different decade, basically. So it was a little superficial. We have one hour on a decade, but at least talked about what was going on in the 40s, which it talked about skipping over, especially the 40s was skipped over. And then the last one I worked on was the Archivos Secretos del Nodo, which is the Secret Archives of Nodo. That's you could watch for free on RTV Play, and it's actually humorous, so it's a little easier to watch, and you could put it on when you're awake, not at 11 o'clock at night when it was broadcast. And it so talks about why the certain films were not shown at the time, even though they were produced, they were never released, never shown in the theaters, because the regime didn't look good. It was some kind of censorship. And so the episode that I'm most happy, one of them I'm most happy with is one featuring Ana Mariscal, who was the first woman film director after the war, and she made a film in the 50s, 1955, about poverty, and it had real, non-professional actors, and it showed people who were actually poor, and of course that was never shown at the
So
time.
just
Not
for
for
people,
20 years.
you made some really quick references, so not everybody will have caught those. So, los archivos secretos del Nodo, the secret archive of Nodo, NODO was the official newsreel program of the Franco regime, and then the channel to watch that documentary series on is RTVE, Radio Televisión Española, that has since it's a public TV, you can stream things for free, but you do need a VPN from Spain most of the time to do that.
Yeah.
I believe so, that in my experience.
Is
Oh.
the website
Maybe
is
it depends on the program.
RTV Play.
Play,
Yeah,
yeah. No, you should be able to watch it. You'll create an account.
RTVplay.es.
yeah, and
You just have to
that's
create
Right. I don't know if they have restricted
No, it
geolocalized.
shouldn't
I
be.
don't know.
no, okay, maybe not.
It shouldn't be, but I mean, I haven't tried it in the States. But yeah, so that's a lot. I learned a lot. I didn't know, I'll tell you, because of course it was secret, so
Yeah.
you couldn't
So
see that.
we're getting close to our end, but Randall Scamardo has a very specific question that I'm actually interested too. So Lisa, in the beginning, you said um, you found an interview with ALBA Bessie made for Patrick's never realized documentary. Did you guys use all of it? Where was it, and did you use all of it, and where is it now?
Oh, where's it now? God, I guess,
I, I think we transferred everything to video,
yeah,
but I maybe lose it.
yeah,
I maybe lose it. It took us a big effort
yes,
to get the film, but well, there's things that happens. I had plenty of boxes with tapes,
yeah,
and I missed the most important, where there were
yeah,
important archives, and I think I've
yeah.
missed one.
Well, it wasn't, I mean, we certainly didn't play the whole thing it was the opening of the film. I don't remember what got left out, but I think
No,
it was
but,
the
but, but
essence.
we didn't have everything because Patrick McGilligan interviewed plenty of things. So I'm sure that I didn't pay for all. So
No,
we just asked for this. But I think we had all Alpha Basi interview that
yeah.
actually I put other excerpts in the as extra in the DVD.
Mm.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's good plug. Yeah. So how can you get a
Yeah.
DVD?
Now I'm reminding
Right. So I have the DVD up to. I'm trying to think like if people are interested in it, is it still for sale? Your film on DVD?
No,
Okay.
no. I even just have one copy, I think, myself. No. It
Well,
was,
we might find a way to make
there,
those
there was, there
extras
was a
available.
big problems of and restriction of copyright and everything.
Right. Of course. Right.
Limited time
And
limit.
now
Yeah.
DVDs, I don't know if there's still a market and DVDs. No.
Yeah. That's a good point. But yeah, if people are interested, I can help make that available. I bet those extras because those extras are interesting, right? Um,
So, yes, I was happy. There was interesting things in the.
yeah.
Yeah,
And just
I can't answer, Randall, I can't answer all your questions, but I probably, if I looked in my files, I could probably find it. Who I contacted, I don't remember the name of the lab. It was a long time ago, but
yeah.
and who
So
knows? I mean, a lot of labs don't exist anymore because there's no film, so
yeah. So one thing where Randall, since Randall Scamardo is on here, um, he offered to do a session like this on España otra vez, the film that is partly features in the documentary, right? The Jaime Camino film. So we'll do that. Well, in the summer, I think it's in July. Our session here will be on the film that Alba Bessi helped work on with Ramon Guber and Jaime Camino. So that'll be really interesting. I think we're close to our end. Is there any final thoughts you want to share, Lisa or Oriol?
I don't know. No. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay with me. I'm very pleased to have this conversation to remind things, to recover things. I hope that I could explain in some interesting way. Thank you very much. I said this thing about brigadists has not to be considered as ¿cómo se dice? Un compromiso, no? Una galantería for the audience. But it's true. It's true. I didn't think it at the beginning, but it's truth. And,
so you mean to say that you meant what you said.
Huh?
You meant what you said.
So good fight, and congratulations to keep it. Actually, one of the most also moving interviews was with Mo Fishman. It has a character, and I'm also now when I saw it again, I loved myself because at the beginning that he was so expressive, and there's a moment that he says how you say big words. Big words. They say tacos. Hay un momento que dice tacos.
Cuss words.
Huh?
Cuss words. He cusses. Yeah.
Very expressive. You Western countries, sons of bitches, because you had the opportunity to stop the rest of it all, but at last you didn't do it. You were there, you were cowards, and this. So at last you were waiting there. So at last, fuck off. After this, he said to me, "Well, I know that you will not include this statement, no? Because so he let himself to be absolutely expressive, but it was so nice, and he was so pure himself, so expressive as this that they kept it.
Great. Thank you, Oriol. Anything to add?
So this was very, very nice. He was a very nice person, a character. It's good to make films to know people like this.
Yep, and it guarantees this kind of immortality, right? For us, we teach young people, and to have footage of the brigaders is indispensable, because people like Mo or like Abe Ashraf or everybody in the good fight, right? And documentaries like that is so important to have. Bill Bailey's story, that's the personalities are so key to the story.
Well, I told you the other day, we've never thought and talked about this. I'm very glad to offer you the full interviews that I made with him and maybe some others. So I offer you to the ALBA archives, and I have even a transcription of it and even translation to Spanish. So I think for an archive is something valuable. So
absolutely,
I'll be glad to send it.
Great. Well, thank you both so much, Lisa, for jumping on last minute and sticking out, and Oriol, thank you for sharing your film with us and your memories. Thank you, Mark and Dennis, for your work behind the scenes. If you're not subscribed to ALBA's mailing list, please subscribe to stay posted about future events. We have things coming up. I cannot give any concrete details right now, but things keep on happening. We have a busy programming schedule, as you know. Do keep an eye out for the new Volunteer. We're sending it into production on Sunday this weekend. So the PDF should be coming around soon, and then you should look for the print magazine in your mailboxes in the next couple of weeks, featuring, like I said, a piece on Hollywood film and the Spanish Civil War. And I think that's all for now. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening. And thanks again, Oriol and Lisa. This was great.
Thank you to you all. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Good fight.